Doctor Who Memories, Revenge of the Cybermen. Hello and welcome to this week's video and a slightly new thread, I suppose. I want to talk about these stories in a similar manner to the Why I Love series, though not necessarily with stories that I love, but just kind of to give a more personal perspective on them in the same way that I do in the Why I Love series. Now this week I think it's a good place to start with Revenge of the Cybermen, because Revenge of the Cybermen was, apart from like the ones that I watched as a very little kid, Revenge of the Cybermen was really the first pre-Sylvester story that I saw as a fan. And certainly, aside from like Logopolis, which was what I was like 5 or 6 or something with the 5 faces thing, this is really the first Tom story that I saw. Certainly while old enough to to remember them. I got this on VHS at some point in 1987. Now, to be honest, I can't remember exactly when or how I got to see this. Maybe it was a birthday present, but honestly, I kind of thought it was a little later than my birthday, albeit still before season 24 came on. I don't know. My memory is kind of fucked, honestly. For years, I have been telling the story that my brother got me the Savages novelization for Christmas 1986. At the last minute, because he was planning to get me the Back to the Future on VHS, and then changed his mind when he found out that it was coming on, the BBC One for Christmas premiere. Except that's not true. I was looking at the BBC Christmas listings, and Back to the Future didn't premiere till about Christmas 87 or 88. So I don't know what the fuck it was. It was still 86, obviously, because I was there as a fan for season 24 in 87. But what movie he was actually planning to get me and then changed his mind at the last minute, I don't know. I could have sworn it was Back to the Future. Maybe it was Ghostbusters or something like that. Who knows? So no, I can't remember exactly when I got Revenge, but it was the very first VHS that I ever got. It was the very first anything. I mean, I didn't even get those off-air copies from a friend for another year after that, because I didn't meet him for like another year till after that. So Revenge of the Cybermen is something of a historic story for me as a fan, which makes it ironic in that it's not a story I've ever been particularly fond of. In fact, for a very long time, I would say that I regarded Revenge of the Cybermen as a crap story, to be honest. Perhaps that had something to do with the viewing experience of the first time I watched it, when I made the mistake of watching it with my snooty older brother, my oldest brother. I went to Oxford. I'm so intellectual. Sorry. Who proceeded to take the piss out of the whole thing, from start to finish, pretty much. I particularly remember him bursting out into laughter at the scene where the Vocons rush in and say that they're under attack, and he goes, "How many Cybermen are there?" And they go, "2 at least." To be fair, it is kind of amusing, but still, what an asshole. So maybe that had something to do with it. I dare say that Carrie Blyton's, shall we say, individualistic music takes some getting used to. So to be honest, Revenge of the Cybermen was a story that I was never ever very fond of. In fact, I always kind of regarded it as a bit of a turkey, at least until recently. To be honest, I saw it a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, and I was surprised that I actually kind of liked it. I don't think I'd seen it for quite a long time, because again, it's not a story I've ever been really fond of, and so it had been probably maybe even a decade or so since I'd actually bothered watching it. And I watched it, the DVD, and I was like, this isn't actually as bad as I remember. And I have to admit, I watched it a few weeks ago, which it's actually probably more like a few months by the time this video comes out. And I actually really enjoyed it. I don't think I've ever enjoyed Revenge of the Cybermen more, in fact. I mean, I can still see its flaws. The Cybermen themselves are certainly a bit crap, and the Vogon masks are not perfect. It also seems a shame to kind of bury some good actors like David Collins and Kevin Stoney so far beneath them that you can't even tell it's them, really. But I actually, I kind of enjoyed it. I maybe, honestly, if you ask me, Revenge of the Cybermen versus the whole of New Who, yeah, I think I'd choose Revenge of the Cybermen. So yeah, Revenge of the Cybermen. Because I never bought the, the one I had was, I guess, the original re-release. It wasn't the one with the daft cover, with the wrong logo, the wrong Cybermen, and the wrong season Tom. It was the one after that, but it was still the omnibus version. It was still the feature length cut without the cliffhanger opening credits and that. They re-released it after that in the episodic form. These were back in the days when fandom actually wanted the show uncut, not having half the thing cut out because they've lost their attention span in the last 30 years. Never mind. But I never got that one because, like I said, it wasn't a story I was particularly fond of. And the feature length cut was perfectly fine as far as I was concerned. So I was like, I'm not buying it again. I did of course eventually get the DVD, and of course I've now got it on Blu-ray via the season 12 set, which is what I watched it on recently. Yeah, I've actually come to really like Revenge of the Cybermen. I mean, that may be down to the fact that even as my fandom narrows ever more firmly onto the classic series, Tom's era ever more stands out to me as the pinnacle of the entire show, with even one that I would not regard as one of his best, like Revenge, still kind of better than a lot of others, especially modern ones. Anyway, that's this week's video and the start of this potential series. Let me know if you want to see any more of these. I will talk to you again soon.